Alright, anyways, I'm gonna make this video like it's a bit late because it's already the beginning of the second game, but let's better talk about it right now than never. So, um, NBA Finals, Boston Celtics versus the Dallas Mavericks. Pretty interesting final. I expected the Nuggets to make it, but hey, the Timberwolves knocked them out, and then the Mavericks knocked out the Timberwolves. Celtics were gonna make it. Celtics were gonna make it. And everyone knew it. So how about we look at like their actual season so far? Celtics are the best team in the NBA, going 64 and 18. They're really good when they play good. They've also had their stinkers, like when they lost like over 50 points to the Milwaukee Bucks, and then the same thing happened against, who was it, Sacramento or something. And they were really struggling at one point where they were still winning. Like a prime example was when uh like Detroit Pistons, when they were on their like extreme losing streak, and then I don't know, and then they went to Boston. Like it was during the middle of their streak, and they took them to overtime, and then Boston barely managed to scrape out the victory. And then at the same time, they could barely beat the Raptors. They beat them by 2 points. And yeah. And I feel like that's something that's happened a lot this NBA season. Like, has anyone else noticed that the games have been around 1 to 2 point difference? They're a whole lot better than usual. But anyways, how about we talk about the Dallas Mavericks' regular season? So Dallas Mavericks regular season, they finished as the fifth seed in the Western Conference. Their fifth place. I don't know. And then they had a record of 50 and 32, which is also not that bad, considering also they're in a much more difficult conference than the Celtics. And I don't pay attention that much to the Western Conference, mainly because I only watch NBA for the Celtics, and that's it. And why? Huh? And why? Well, it's simple. Because Celtics is my team. Now, why is it my team? Well, because my dad hates the Celtics, and that's basically the only reason. Postseason. How will we talk about that? Let's start off with the Celtics. So their road here was games versus the Miami Heat, Cavaliers, and Pacers. In the Miami Heat game, they won the first game, then lost the second game in Boston, but it didn't matter because they won another game in Miami. They won 2 games in Miami, and then won the third. They won Game 5 in Boston. Takes the series 4-1. Then the Cavaliers. Same thing happened. They won in Boston first game. Second game they lose against the Cavaliers at home. Third and fourth they win away at the stadium with the Cavaliers, and then back they win again, wins the series 4-0, 4-1. And then the Pacers, which honestly is I would say is the shocker of this bracket so far, because they beat I think it was third seeded Bucks and second seeded Knicks. And then walking all the way up, they had to face the Celtics, and they played a really good games. Those games were incredibly entertaining, the majority of them, but it didn't matter because Celtics scraped through every single time and won 4-0. There were like 2 games, like the last 2 games at the stadium with the Pacers, where they just they were like 20 or 16 points ahead both games, and they still lost the game. But yeah. Now let's look at the road for the Mavericks. Mavericks got out a 4-2 victory against the Clippers in the first round, and then in the conference semifinals, they had to face against the first place Dakota Thunder, or not Dakota. I'm so stupid. Oklahoma Thunder. It's because it looks like a D. Anyways, Mavericks still won 4-2. It was pretty interesting, and then they had to face against the Timberwolves, who beat the Suns 4-0, perfect bracket, and then beat the reigning champions Nuggets 4-3 in pretty entertaining games. And then now they're in the conference finals. It didn't matter because Mavericks immediately took a commanding 3-0 lead in the series. Then, Timberwolves could have scored one back, but then didn't matter. Mavericks won the fifth game, go through 4-1. And there were two times where where Mavericks were doing absolutely horrendously, and then out of nowhere they come back because of Luka Doncic and not Luka Doncic. I'm stupid. Their players and just absolutely cooked the freaking Timberwolves, bro. One second, let me look it up. Like I said, I don't watch it that much. Let's see. Yeah, it was Luka Doncic. It was Luka Doncic and it was Kyrie Irving. Those two just absolutely cooked. And then same game when it was 109 to 108, it's in favor of the Mavericks. The freaking Timberwolves, the guy that scored so many 3-pointers that night couldn't score the last second one. And yeah. And anyways, now we're at the final. Mavericks versus Celtics. I'm recording this after the game tonight. There's going to be the second game, game 2, and the Celtics have already taken a 1-0 lead. And the difference between these two teams is that Celtics are the best team in the NBA, but they also play in a lesser strong conference. That's not to say that the Eastern Conference is easy. It's just to say that who's the biggest team there? It's them, the Phillies, the Bucks usually. Those are the three main ones. And then on the Western Conference, you got the Lakers, you got the Golden State Warriors, you got the Nuggets, you got the Timberwolves, you got the Mavericks, you got Oklahoma. That's a really strong competition, and you're still making it to this finals. But anyways, this team, I don't see Mavericks winning this game because you can say as much as you want that the Celtics are in a worse conference than the Mavericks, right? You can say it as much as you want, but it doesn't really matter. Just look at. There's a reason why they're still a really good team and really horrible to face against, because they'll come back if you let them. For example, let's look at the players. Let's look at the players. The Mavericks. Who do they have? The Mavericks. Really, their big team players are Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic. Those are the two biggest players that the Dallas Mavericks have. Now, what do you see about the Celtics? If the Celtics, it's absolutely unfair. It's actually unfair, and I love it. If there's Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown right there, you got two incredible players. If Tatum has a bad game, Brown will be there. If Brown has a bad game, Hartford is there. If Hartford has a bad game, Drew Holiday is there. If Drew Holiday doesn't do it, freaking Derek White's there. Then after Derek White is Porzingis. And then the bench, that's when it gets a little worse, but they're still really good players. They have so many players that it doesn't even matter if they play as a team because they're going to absolutely... If one player doesn't show up, the other one will. And Derek White has been absolutely great this season. Sure, all of the spotlight has usually been on Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, but Derek White causes so many great passes, so many errors from opposing teams, gets so many free throw lines, shots at the free throw line, and it's actually unfair. So anyways, how do you think this is going to happen? Now that we are here at the NBA Finals, I think, because, Celtics already have a 1-0 lead. I think they're going to add on to it tonight. I say the game's going to end, or the series is going to end with the Celtics winning another title, finally after so long. I think it was since 2008 since they won. I was born in 2008, god dang. So anyways... I think the Celtics are going to win this NBA final. If they don't win, that's actually embarrassing. So yeah, score is Celtics win this 4-0 sweep. But yeah, that's my opinion. I'd like to hear all of y'all's in the comments.